Yo, so we're here with Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2. First things first, I managed to catch up with the missing content between Seasons 2 and 3 of The Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett. Quick rundown, it's actually pretty good. It's good stuff they've put in there, which is even more annoying because I don't understand why they really took it out of Season 3. Because the majority of everything that the Mandalorian does in the Book of Boba Fett doesn't need to have any connection to Grogu or him getting Grogu back. He could have just done a cameo, done his bit to help Boba Fett, and then moved on. So it's doubly annoying the way they've done it now, because the stuff with Mandalorian, where he goes to, first of all, try to get back with the Mandalorians and learn a bit more about the Darksaber, and then secondly go and get Grogu back, totally has no bearing on the plot of the Book of Boba Fett. So not only did they slow down the pace of Boba Fett's show and take you on a wildly different direction. So if you've not watched The Mandalorian at that point, then you won't have any context of what's going on. You've lost 2 episodes. And if you do watch The Mandalorian and you've not watched the Book of Boba Fett, you're going to miss 2 of the most important episodes on there. However, I have watched it and I liked it, so I'm back up to speed now with where The Mandalorian is and what his situation is and what his quest is. So, going into episode 2, I was annoyed. Just in generally, I had a general feeling of annoyance. So episode 2 needed to bring it hard, bring a great story, bring great action, bring a great episode, and unfortunately it does not deliver that. It's a decent episode, don't get me wrong, it's an alright episode, it does some good things, there's some good combat, there's some decent story driving, but much like episode 1, it seems like a lot of stuff happens, but nothing actually really happens. Certain characters are starting to just annoy me, like the mechanic lady, I can't remember her name, but every time she comes on screen, it's like watching Raffi in Picard. It's just, I cringe and think, oh god, what? She's meant to be comic relief, I think, but it's annoying comedy for, children, where she speaks Java, and that's supposed to be funny. She's clearly a crook, and she talks so fast and so much. I think if I was the Mando, I would just oh my god, why do he go back there? I have no idea. He could get. She's not the only mechanic in the universe, but anyway, Mando goes back to her to try and get a part for this droid, which he's desperate to get. It turns out that he's desperate to get this droid because he needs a droid that can go spelunking, cave diving, so he needs one that walks. So, but there are millions of other droids that walk. So it's nothing specific about this droid anymore. It's just the type of droid he needs. So he could have gotten any other droid that walked. So that whole plot point of the end of episode 1, where he's desperate to get a memory unit for this specific droid, is wiped out because he doesn't actually need that droid at all. It's gone in within seconds. So it's what was the point of episode 1? So she gives him this astromech, which is, again, and then he takes it. It's you wanted something that could go cave diving, but this thing is on wheels. And obviously they did. That was the R2-D2 problem. He couldn't go upstairs, but they retconned that in the prequels by giving him jetpacks. So maybe this astromech has little jetpacks as well. But yeah, surely there are better droids. I mean, can you not just get a drone, like a little flying one, that would fly around? Anyway, she manages to offload this absolute piece of shit droid, because it's literally falling apart. And he wants to take it cave diving? Surely this thing would just disintegrate. So it makes Mando look like a chump. He's been offloaded this shitty droid to go and cave diving because he wants to check the air atmosphere. I don't understand why a ship doesn't have sensors that could do that. But anyway, so he gets a droid and he goes off to find Mandalore, and The real problem with this episode is that it's trying to highlight the strengths of other characters, Bo-Katan and Grogu and such, which is great. I like that. I loved the focus on Bo-Katan in this episode was great, because I don't know that much about her, because I never watched the Clone Wars really. So it's good to get an introduction to her, and she's super badass. But they make her badass by making Mando Din Djarin an idiot and incompetent and useless, basically. He manages to get himself captured, like, twice in the space of about 10 minutes. He gets captured twice. So, all in all, the action was good. There was some good fight scenes, fight choreography. You get to see, Jin struggling to use the dartsaber. So he still uses it quite a lot in life and death situations. Again, bringing back him to being a bit of an idiot. But you still get to see it used, and then you get to see it used much more effectively, the way it's supposed to be used later on in the episode. So the action scenes were quite good, but other than that, it's a bit of a meh episode. I'm probably going to forget what happens. Let's say it seems like lots of things are happening, but nothing actually really happens. Very little actually really happens. So it's an alright episode. It's a decent episode, better than episode 1, I think, but not by much. So I'm hoping that this is just a slow start and not the what's going to be, sort of the general formula for the series, because if it is, I'm going to be very disappointed. There seems to be no direction of how they want the character or the show to go, so that's worrying as well, but we shall see. So I would say this is like a 6 out of 10. Not terrible, not great, kind of just one of the episodes which if there's a series 4, by the time series 4 comes around, I will have forgotten what happened here. Okay, so I'll go into the episode breakdown now, so there will be spoilers, but let's say we go back to the mechanic, who just super irritating. Every time she's on, I think, oh god, please just get this over with, and let's get back to the real plot. And the whole point of her part of the story was to give the Mandalorian the droid, the stupid astromech droid, which would never really have worked. So all the ship renovations that she did during the Book of Boba Fett, she basically undoes so that he could get a droid. He said originally, I don't want a droid on my ship. So she said, well, I'll turn the astromech droid bit into a space for Grogu. Okay. And then within seconds, that's just done, gone away again. Right, I need a droid. Right, okay. So where does Grogu sit? This is like, his ship is basically a fighter. There's no cargo bay, there's no storage anywhere. Where does Grogu live? He used to live in the wee pod, but now the astromech's in there, so what a stupid ship. It's super fast and it looks cool, but it's stupid for a nomad. That's what the Mando is. He's a nomad. He travels around all the time. He has no home, so he just travels around all the time. So he must bring all this stuff. But where does he put it? It's just lazy. It's stupid writing. It's just doesn't make any sense. They don't even have a throwaway line where I need to store my stuff somewhere. So this is why I come back to this place, to you all the time, mechanic, because I store all my gear here. No, don't do anything like that. So Mandalorian goes off to Din Djarin goes off to Mandalore. So his quest is to bathe in the waters underneath the mines of Mandalore, and this he will be redeemed. And he has to bring back proof. That's going to be the interesting bit, because he could have just, how does he prove it? How do you prove you've taken a bath, in specific water, when nobody's set foot on the planet for years? So interesting how they're going to pull that one off. So he goes to Mandalore, and along the way he's teaching Grogu about what it's like to be a Mandalorian, and that Mandalorians are great at reading maps, because that way you're never lost. And that's just hint, wink, wink. This is going to become important later on. He's literally tapping the thing, like, this is where Bo-Katan is, right here. This little place here. Are you looking, Grogu? Bo-Katan is right here. if I ever ask you to go find Bo-Katan, Bo-Katan's right here. You got that? Bo-Katan's right here. It's like hammers home stuff to you, rather than it sort of being subtly laid out. It's hammered home with a fucking sledgehammer. So then you arrive on the planet, and the planet's all fucked up. Like, the atmosphere's all messed up. There's all the magnetic poles are screwed up during the bombardment and the sort of extermination event that happened. So the planet's all fucked up. They go through the cloud, and then the planet, once they're through this storm cloud, the planet looks actually not too bad. You know, it's not maybe as bad as people thought. So we land, and Jin tells his astromech, right, go over there to that cave and check the atmosphere. I was like, can't he just do it now? His head's sticking out the top of the ship. He's in the atmosphere. Can you not just tell him, like, what's going on? No, he has to slowly wheel over to this cave. So he slowly wheels over to the cave, and then he doesn't come back. Like, okay, doesn't come back. So we're sitting waiting, going, there's no communication with the droid. It doesn't come back. So Jin has to go out himself. So he pressurizes his helmet, and he goes out himself. And I think, if you could do that all along, why didn't you just do that? Okay, then he tells Grogu to go and seal up his pod. First of all, where is his pod? Where is his pod in this ship? How could he store it? Where is this stupid pod? Is Jin sitting on it? Anyway, he tells him to open his pod, but he opens the cockpit door, exposing Grogu to the atmosphere. Grogu takes a few minutes before he goes into it. So if the air is poisonous, Grogu's dead. And the Mandalorian has no idea if the air is poisonous. He's been told the air is poisonous, but he has no idea if it is or not. And if it is, Grogu's dead. He's just let Grogu die. Because he opens the cockpit, exposing him to the atmosphere. So you're like, right, again, Jin, an idiot. So Jin goes to find the mech, and he finds it, but then he's attacked by these caveman creatures. Have you ever seen The Time Machine by H.G. Wells? They look exactly like Morlocks. I think that's what I was thinking. Oh, it's the Morlocks. So they attack Jin. Jin, being completely incompetent Mandalorian that he is, gets his ass beat. And then he whips out his darksaber, which he can't lift. He can't even lift the thing properly. And it's like me trying to fight with... It's like trying to fight with Mjolnir, and you're not worthy of holding it. But occasionally you get some level of worth and you can swing it about a wee bit. So eventually he's swinging the darksaber, but it doesn't do anything. Whips out his knife and stabs them a few times. Knocks him over the edge of the cliff. And then he kills one with the darksaber. One out of like 3. It's like, put that away. You do not know how to use it. Put it away. This is a ceremonial weapon, for goodness sake, for you. So he rescues the droid, goes back, and he finds out, okay, the atmosphere isn't poisonous. It's like, great. So he and Grogu descend into this cave where there's this sort of city, this Mandalorian city was. So they drop down, jetpacks. It's cool visuals of him dropping down into the city, drops down, and instantly captured. Like, he's instantly captured by this weird spider bot thing. And I thought, the bot, like the bots and creature designs look cool. So he's captured by it, so that's good. If it all looks cool and real, right? But he's captured instantly. And then you find it's this sort of General Grievous. I actually thought it was General Grievous for a little while, but I don't think it is. It's a very General Grievous-esque robot. Someone who was coming up with the creature for this looked at General Grievous and thought, well, give it less arms. And you're like, okay, right. So it's a very General Grievous-esque thing, and he beats Mandalorian. So by all rights, does that mean he now controls the darksaber? Because he beats Mando. He's captured him. He's essentially beat him. So does he take control of the darksaber? No. Does it have to be just another Mandalorian that does it? Then maybe. But then How does it know? Is it sort of sentient? I don't know. It's just this weird nonsense. Yeah, this is sort of weird. It's just a very weird thing, that the whole Darksaber business. Anyway, he's captured. And Grogu is he didn't get Grogu, which is good. So Mando tells Grogu to go and find Bo-Katan. He manages to get. So Grogu comes up to try and rescue him. He can't rescue him, so he says, "Go find Bo-Katan. Remember where I told you Bo-Katan lived?" So Grogu flies off to go get Bo-Katan, and you get this. Grogu's now becoming a bit of just a plot device, in that if you need someone to be able to use the Force and defeat a giant enemy or insurmountable odds, Grogu just turns up and just does. Oh, where's Grogu? Here you are, Grogu. In fact, turn up and save this review. So Grogu sort of turns up and just goes, and yeah. So he just anytime you need something to just be done, Grogu comes and does it. So he's now the sort of Deus Ex Machina. It's like whatever you need done, Grogu can just now do. And it's like don't reduce Grogu to just a purely a plot device of like if you need the Force done, he does the Force. Like give him a bit more respect than that. So we'll see how that goes, but I don't like that. It's cool anyway to see him jumping about now like Yoda did in the Clone Wars against Count Dooku and in Revenge of the Sith against Palpatine. You know, it's cool to see him jumping about like that, but still. Anyway, he goes to find Bo-Katan. He manages to somehow pilot the ship, even though it's been made very clear that Jin has to have like two hands on the controls all the time. So maybe again he's just using the Force to control the ship. But he manages to control it. I mean, this is like asking if I asked my toddler to, you know, find someone and they got in the car and just having had watched me drive the car for a little while, knew how to drive it, and you just expect them to be able to drive the car. Like, what the hell? So we land on Bo-Katan's planet, and Bo-Katan does nothing except wait for the Mandalorian to show up. That's what her job is. She just sits around all day, waits and does nothing until Mando shows up. So she Grogu comes and gets Bo-Katan and essentially tells her that the Mandalorian's in trouble because she's, well, he can't speak, but she looks at me and goes, "Well, where's Mando?" And he's like and he's doing some weird words, maybe he's saying words. It's like, but it's like a baby again. When they first start to speak, it's just nonsense, like bagoo, bagoo. And like, oh my god, is that his first word? Like, who knows? Anyway, so Bo-Katan shows up. So Bo-Katan turns up, and she gets attacked on the planet by the same, like, Morlock creatures, but dispatches them within seconds, proving that she's better than the Mandalorian, like better than Jin, like first time. So she kicks their ass, picks up the Darksaber, kicks all their ass, kicks the Spider-Bot's ass with no trouble at all really, and kicks the General Grievous guy's ass. Again, no problem at all. Saves Jin for the first time. You know, it's like you don't have to make Jin incompetent to make Bo-Katan feel special or like powerful. Like, it just does. If you make, because remember, the Mandalorian, Jin, is the main character. He's meant to be the one who can kind of rises to the challenge and wins, essentially. You can have other people win and do good, but just don't make your hero worse in order to make the side characters better. This is just lazy. So she rescues him. Not much happens then. So they go to the waters. They find the waters instantly. It's like this whole quest was like over in a second. So he goes into the water. He sees this bay. There's this little mines there. He goes into the water, and he takes a few steps, and then again he's grabbed and pulled down by something, but he doesn't manage to fight back. There's no resistance whatsoever. Like, he doesn't give a bit of any sort of fight to this thing. He just pulled down instantly. And he went far too far in. It's like, all he needed to do was bathe in it. He could have gone like 2 or 3 steps in, where it was shallow, and then bathed. But no, he goes into like the water, and this water starts off like that deep, and then within seconds plummets to the depths of the ocean. It's like the Mariana Trench. So I don't know, why is he not looking down? Like, to see, oh my god, if I take 2 more steps in this, I am going to fall into the 7th circle of hell. No. But he's dragged down at lightning speed. Bo-Katan jumps in to rescue him again. So Bo-Katan has to rescue him again. So she dives down and is diving for ages. It's literally like the bottom of the ocean. And I don't care how pressurized their helmets or suits is, or how tough Beskar armor is. The pressure they would have gone under there would have crushed them. So she rescues Jin, who's just at the bottom of the ocean, lying there, not like restricted in any way. He's just lying at the bottom of the ocean, doing God knows what. So she grabs him, drags him up, and as she's coming up, she sees the creature, and I think the creature is basically like the Mandalorian's arm, the symbol that they all paint on, with the animal with the big horns. I didn't get a really good look at it, because to be honest, I was getting tired when I was watching it. I wasn't really hooked. I wasn't really super engaged, but it looked like one of the creatures that they paint on their armor. I should think they mentioned before in the previous earlier in the episode, but again, I wasn't really paying attention to it. So she drags him up at 1,000 miles an hour, right? And again, if the pressure of the bottom of the ocean hadn't crushed him, the rising to the top in seconds would have given him a pulmonary embolism, and they would have both died. Again, there'll be some hand waving of, oh, it's the Beskar helmet protects them, right? So it's a good to point. It's like, because if he's not allowed to take his helmet off, right? So when they get to the top and it feels like he's kind of drowning, she can't give him mouth to mouth or resuscitate him because she can't take his helmet off. Well, I suppose she could. She could take his helmet off and then get him to bathe again. So if you lived on Mandalore, you could kind of take your helmet off as much as you wanted and then just go have a bath. Is that the idea? Like, if you lived near the mines, you'd be like, this is sweet. Take my helmet off whenever I like. Go have a quick dip in the baths, helmet back on, Bob's your uncle, I'm good. So he's now bathed in the waters. Technically he is Mandalorian again. He is not an apostate, but he has to be able to prove it. I don't know how he's going to prove it. What's he do? Bring back a sample of the water and say, test that? Or does he have to bring back some sort of... Maybe he has to bring back part of the creature. Who knows? But then that's it. This ends. You're like, wow. So Jin's quest is over. End series. He's done it. He's redeemed in the eyes of the Mandalorian Creed. So now what? Now we have to go down the plot of who takes over control of Mandalore. I mean, Jin should definitely just give it to Bo-Katan, like the Darksaber, or like they should have like a fight, and she would definitely win. If you looked at this episode, if they had a fight right now, she would easily win because she is painted as 1,000 times better than he is. He is useless in this episode. So just let them have a fight. She takes the Darksaber. She goes to control Mandalore. Mandalore thrives. Everyone's happy. The end. Roll credits. But that doesn't happen, and I doubt that will happen. But all in all, to say, a sort of average episode. Nothing really to write home about. Everything happens so fast. It's like here, there, everywhere, boom, 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 and things are done. Like Mando's captured multiple times, rescued multiple times. Each one of those captures and rescues could have been its own episode. Like, but I don't know how many episodes they've got in this season, but I don't know what else they have to cover now. So is it just going to be a lot of filler episode, more garbage? And please don't, no more of the mechanic. I think the mechanic's done. Leave her to go now. Just let her like vanish. Send her off to the Raffi cloud house in the sky and just let them both vanish. But Having seen the stuff in the middle in the Boba Fett series, which was it was good. I'm confident that they can produce good Mandalorian content. So we'll see how it goes, and let me know your comments as before, as always, in the section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep watching. Stay tuned, and me and Grogu will see you next week. Bye bye.